You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Good morning. So glad you're here. Life is sweet here at Flo's Focus. Pull up a chair. The coffee's perked, so go ahead, pour yourself a cup. Let's have some fun and see what we can find to explore today. Howdy. Welcome to the Ozarks. It's great to have you here. That's at least where I'm exploring and having a good homestead. This last week, the biggest event around here, Culture Days. Wish you could have been here. There was free food, great bluegrass and/or country bands, and booths with groups from the surrounding area. I'm telling you, those groups, they had a lot of goodies going on. I guess when it comes to the booths, yes, my favorite would be Republican Women of Carroll County and the Amish Baked Goods. Boy, those baked goods at those delicious. Those Amish women really know how to bake. They are really sweet women too, and they bake. Oh boy, do they bake. Well, I got some chocolate oatmeal bars, and they were so good. And then the next day, I got a pecan pie. See, it's really something I've done since I used to live here. On Christmas, I'd take her a pecan Christmas. That was one of my Christmas presents to them. She was busy raising 4 kids, and I liked bringing it to her. I had time to do it. She sure enjoyed them. Well, I was busy, but I always took time. She just bragged on it, and that always next year. Well, now her kids are grown, and she Springs hotels something, but she still works hard. Well, she works in Eureka Springs. Boy, is it different. I mean, different as night and day from Green Forest and Berry. Its founding history was quite different, so I guess that kind of led it in a different direction. Speaking of history, made us what we are today. Well, a lot of history is boring, say. In Arkansas, they say we're kind of history because we're 10 years. If that's true, hope it continues. Sure hope it stays that way. There are some bad parts around here. No place is perfect. Here down the road are 100 or so roosters. Small place, I think it's like a crate. It's definitely not a chicken coop. Anyway, I guess they can get inside. Chickens aren't hens and roosters like you'd expect. They're all roosters. About, say, all chained, 2 dogs that protect them. Well, I think what they use them for is cockfights. We don't have proof of that. Host doggy in the background, he thinks it's true too. She thinks it's true. Pardon me, madam. Pardon me. Okay, I got that straight. I guess she's really talking about those roosters. She doesn't like that. Why else would you keep unless you're planning on that many? Well, how are you going to prove they're in cockfights, though? You got to have some real... I don't think we have that. So, I guess those poor chickens, well, they're left to whatever the greater organizations can do for them or will do for them. They're talkative in the morning, but living in the country, well, that's part of it. We don't really have a noise level here that has to be controlled. So you can go out, you can shoot your gun, you can listen to the roosters, you can do whatever you want to do. And I kind of like that, actually. The other negative part, though, I'm talking about is we also have, in the past, spell real trouble. I mean, real trouble. I'll go into why at this time. I'll just say, those who live any place around him or been in this country for very long, they know why. They also know he shot eagles. Very sad. Again, unless you have the camera equipment, though, you can't prove it. I know that the Forest Department they've issued him or whatever they are called, citations, I suppose, but it didn't seem to have done much good back in those days. Now he's much older. I hear he turned 91 recently, and he's lost a lot of weight. He's had a heart attack, and his health, it's just not all that great, I wouldn't say. Who knows how long he's going to live in these parts, but he doesn't spell trouble. He spells old, and he's been his time, that's all. Well, overall through the Ozarks, being lost in the sticks, I'm telling you, it does have its sticks. I always told my mom I was going to go live in the sticks, and she told me when she came here, "Well, honey, you're living in the sticks now, aren't you?" And she really liked my place. There's a lot of privacy here. Neighbors generally care for one another in ways that you don't find elsewhere. Love the well water. It's so refreshing, and it's much better than any city water is. And I guess down to the bottom or down to the level of everything, it's my heart's home. I breathe freer here than any place else. Well, they're putting in a four-way road here. I guess so that the tourists can get eased to Berryville, excuse me, not Berryville, Branson, of course, Branson. So Eureka Springs. Eureka Springs is what Branson used to be. It's not a bad area to visit at all. Eureka Springs has a lot of Victorian homes as well. It used to be a very ritzy area. So it's quite a place to visit. The whole town is in the Historical Society. And back in the day, I heard that it was the only town in the Historical Society. I don't know if that still is true or not. I'd like to think it is anyway. Okay, what else can I tell you about this place? Well, I do have very good memories of Eureka Springs. Well, although I have some scary ones too. I worked as a brand new LPN there, and I was green, medical world, totally green. No experience whatsoever. One thing they did do was they taught me a lot. After working there a year, I decided, well, it's time to go back to college. I need to become an RN since I'm having to do so much of the RN work. I kind of would like to know what the RNs know. So I decided, well, I'm going to go back to college, and instead of being an LPN, I'll be a real nerd. So I decided I was going back to college. I drove to Harrison, which was about 45 minutes from my house. Talked one of my nurse buddies into going to school with me. She was also an LPN. We went together. She'd come in from Eureka Springs every day to my place, which was about 30 minutes from Eureka Springs. Drive to Harrison every day. Well, Harrison was quite different in those days, and I could say that all this area was quite different in those days. When I first came here, I think I was 20 years old. I had been fishing with my dad in the Ozarks since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. So I was used to the Ozarks. I literally grew up in them in the summertime. I loved the Ozarks from the time I could say howdy or hi or anything at all. Probably dada or mama or anything. I probably said the Ozarks first. But I do know that my folks took me fishing the first time when 2 weeks old. I always told my patients I caught the biggest one, so they kept taking me back. The first part is true, and I'll let you decide on that second part. Harrison surprised us in later years. It was dry country for many years, meaning there was no way you could get any liquor there at a restaurant or place else. Eureka Springs and Berryville and Green Forest, well, they had alcohol, but as I recall, they didn't always have it in the restaurants. At one point, the only thing that I remember being here was Walmart. No, Walmart wasn't even here. I think there was maybe one or two restaurants. What else was here? There was the square, of course, and that's about all the Berryville really consisted of. There might have been a gas station or two and the post office. Post office has been here a long time. Of course, Berryville was founded in 1850. I talked about that in the last program. So they did have alcohol, but they didn't have it in the restaurants, as I recall. You could only get it in bars, and I think you could buy it. Yeah, you could buy it, I believe. But that was about it. So, and also, it only sold 6 days a week, and there was definitely no grocery stores. There was grocery stores available, but that's been much later addition. So never sold on ever. So if you wanted alcohol on Sunday, you had to go to Blue Missouri to get it. Eventually, they sold it in Eureka Springs, so people didn't have to go so far to get it at that. But that was a few years down the road too. The days I lived here before, I remember that you couldn't buy much Mexican food here. Now there's Mexican foods all over the well, really, three towns and two. I remember though back when they didn't have but two Mexican restaurants, and one was up in Harrison. I went up there, and I just came out of Colorado, so I was used to green chili, and I asked for a bowl of green chili, and they looked at me and they just looked so shocked, and the waitress replied, "Well, our chili is the same color as anybody else's." Kind of almost laughed, but I didn't. I kept the Snickers under my breath, and I was thinking, I wonder if she's thinking that I'm asking her if their chili has green in it. Well, I don't know, but I sure did wonder. Well, I can tell you, even though I've been through all 50 states, this is still home sweet home to me. I live in Iowa most of the time now because that's where my husband lived when I first left to my own preferences. I would be here in my world 100% of the time. This is where I belong. I stay with my husband because I love him. And it's one of those things, you know the song, I'd rather be in his world with him. Although I can say I've lived in his world long enough now, I think it's about time he comes and lives in my world. And we do have plans of building a cabin. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't like being too far away from my pond of cattails and perch. I have a pond anytime I want. So now that you know, oh, the host doggies are talking again. Can you hear them? They're talking about those perch. See, those perch sure would taste good if I'd cook up some and serve them. Yum. And you know, when I was in Alaska, one of my host doggies, they did have salmon, and they thought that was so good. Boy, they are sure remembering. I hope you can hear them because they're just talking up a storm. Oh, you have more to say, host puppies? About it? About it? Okay. So now that you know some more of my history and you know the host puppy stories, what they think about all this, well, maybe it's time to tell you about this book I picked up of my husband's. You can tell you're desperate when you pick up a sports book. First of all, I'm a sports widow. Second than that, I'm worse than a sports widow because my husband has to talk to me about the sport. You know, he's got to talk to somebody, and the only somebody around is me, so he has to talk to me. Okay, well, I picked up this book and I thought, oh dear, this is going to not be funny at all, even though maybe it's supposed to be. Well, the first one was William Perry, the Clemson football team, 6'2", 305-pound freshman, middle guard, talking about his childhood. He said, when I was little, I was big, 1981. Well, not very promising yet, although there might be something to that. I read on. Hug McGraw, Phillies relief pitcher, the proud owner of a 1954 Buick. I like it because it plays old music. Hey, still reading. Paul Jones, Portland Trail Blaze Center, when asked to name his favorite seafood. Saltwater taffy. Hey, let me think on that one. Put this book down now, or should I keep trying to read? Good question. Next one I read, well, this one can't be too bad. It's about a doctor, you know. Dr. Bill Lankaitis, New England Patriots Center, on his budding dentistry practice. He said, it's all word of mouth. Hey, yes, so. Reverend Dr. Felix B. Gear of Decatur, Georgia, newly elected moderator of the Southern Presbyterian Church, on his recreational activities. I have hunted deer on occasion, but they were not aware of it. Okay. I guess that would be true. I don't know too many deer that know when they're being hunted, or they probably run the other direction. Well, maybe I'll try a few more. Okay, so Ed Temple, who has coached 8 women's Olympic track gold medalists during his 38 years at Tennessee State, says, I'm the only man alive whose wife approves of him going around with fast women. Yeah, those gold medalists, I bet she does approve of him. Wow, that's not too bad. Maybe this book does have some promise. Hey, Frank Howard, Clemson coach on college football players. Like tomatoes, when you get them, they're green, and you want to bring them along until they're just ripe, firm and ripe. They can't get mushy. Sometimes seniors go to seed. Okay, I guess I can understand that. Maybe this book does have some promise. And so they say that they said it. 200 of the funniest sports quips and quotes. Well, that's not too bad so far. Harry Hardsman, University of Washington basketball coach, explaining why favors Mary? No, Marv. He favors size over speed. Okay, it can't be too bad. Quick guys get tired, big guys don't shrink. Well, that really makes sense, especially after I called him Mary. Goodness. This chapter is called Pearl Before Swines. It's getting better. Henry Toscano, golf pro, asked by an acquaintance how he was playing. I'm hitting the woods just great, but I'm having a terrible time getting out of them. And Rodney Dangerfield, comedian, said, I went to a fight the other night and a hockey game broke out. Ducky darn. So far, so good. Brian Friesman, man, some of these names. 6'5", Hope College forward, on who had the most influence on his basketball career. My 6-foot mother. That definitely makes sense. And do always give your credit to the mother, especially when it's overdue. And having a 6-foot mother, well, you got to be big, so you definitely owe it to her. And Ron Meyer, New England Patriots coach, arguing that emotion is overrated in football. There was a lot of emotion at the Alamo, he said, and nobody survived. True. Okay. This got some potential, I think. First sports book I've ever picked up that I thought had any potential at all. And Kathy Bosworth, mother of Seahawks linebacker Brian Bosworth, on her son's antics while growing up. It's a good thing Brian was a third child, or he would have been the only one. Jim Dickey, Kansas State football coach, asked to compare the 1971 and 1978 Oklahoma teams. It's kind of like comparing the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. They'll both drown you. Oh my goodness. Well, you don't want to drown. I mean, really. And then the loser circle. There is John McKay, a Tampa Bay coach. He asked, following a 34-27 loss to Cleveland, what he thought of his team's execution. He replied, I think it's a good idea. Boy, you don't want to make that coach mad. Wow. Okay. And then you have Shanae Gilstrap, Arlington State football coach, on his team's low standing in the Southland Conference. We've been in the cellar so long, we've got watermarks. Very good. Matt McDonough, 13, soccer player for Highland Catholic School in St. Paul, Minnesota, after his team was eliminated by presentation in the city's elementary school playoffs. I knew we were in trouble when we got there, and their cheerleaders were bigger than us. Ho, ho, ho. A pretty good one after all. Jim Fox, Los Angeles Kings, right wing, complaining about the surface at a Culver City, California practice rink. I've seen better ice on my windshield. These are all great, and this book was published back in 1990, so all of them were older athletes. Yeah, so that makes it even more fun. Mona Shola of the Minnesota Buckskins assessing her tennis game. My volley is blah. I'm a dead elephant on the court. My serve has no sting, and I am confused. Other than that, I'm a fine player. Aha, good for you. Billy Caper discussing the senior golf circuit on which he now plays. Like a lot of fellas around here, I have a furniture problem. My chest has fallen into my drawers. Boy, that is a problem. Mike Eisenberg, 5'10", 120-pound basketball coach at New York City Technical College, describing the effect created when he stands next to a 6'6", 133-pound guard, Martin Lancewell. We look like the number 10. Oh my, poor coach. Miller Barber says, I don't say my golf game is bad, but if I grew tomatoes, they'd come up sliced. Hee hee. Bill Fitch, Boston Celtics coach. I don't have an ulcer. I'm a carrier. I give them to other people. Oh my. Mrs. John She Leslie, referring to Cincinnati Bengal defense tackle Mike Reed's recital before her music club. Not only can play the piano, he can pick it up. Wow, I'm impressed. Ben Jardine, football coach at Brown. In my first game as a head coach, I discovered there wasn't any chalk for my pregame discussion. I had to use my ulcer pills to write on the board. Oh, poor guy. Charles Conrad, Apollo 12 astronaut, explaining why it will be fun to play golf on the moon someday. Not only will you be able to hit the ball a mile, but because there's no atmosphere, you won't have a slice or a hook. Yay! Lou Holtz, coach of Orange Bowbound, Arkansas, asked about fans who pelted the field with oranges during the SMU game. I'm glad we're not going to the Gator Bowl. I guess I can't blame him for that one. I don't like gators, and I never have since I was a little girl. Dick Farrell conceding that the 32-degree Florida temperature might have helped his 3-hit pitching for Houston. It was so cold that ice was forming on my spitter. Oh my, that is cold. Poor guy. George Webster, Houston Oiler linebacker on his off-season job as a car salesman. I haven't sold any yet, but I've been in field goal range a couple of times. Keep on trying, buddy. You'll get there. Lou Burdett, Angels pitcher, asked about a batted ball which bounced off his leg and into the glove of teammate Joe Adcock. This wasn't my best asset. I once started a double play with my forehead. Oh, dear. And then we have Barbara Romack after playing a round of golf with Jack Nicklaus. My tee shots felt like I was hitting overripe tomatoes. Yep, we've heard about those tomatoes a couple places. Glenn, with a real long name, Koslowski, must be Norwegian, BYU co-captain and wide receiver on the Mormon Church's influence on the campus. They let you chase girls, they just don't let you catch them. Dick Allen on why he takes as little batting practice as possible with the Chicago White Sox. Your body is just like a bar of soap. It gradually wears down from repeated use. Yes, I have to concede that this particular book wasn't so bad after all. share even more with you later, but I don't want to bore you with my history. I'd like to hear from you. So remember how to contact me. How do you contact me? It is Flobo at Twitter, where you'll find me. Flobo at Twitter. Twitter, you just go to Flobo and you will find me. Radio station, well, you can email me, and all you have to do is email KLRN, and that's flow at KLRNradio.com. So remember, flow at KLRNradio.com. You'll find me. Sure looking forward to you. Okay. One of the subjects that has made my life what it is, besides the Ozarks, is the medical world.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
Story, Arkansas, and you can decide what you think. Are they ahead of times or behind times? I'm going to do 2 short stories. First, the Arkansas Health Department was the last state in continental United States to confirm Lyme disease. That was the very last state. There was 3 girls who went to Girl Scout camp, and when they came home, they had many typical Lyme disease symptoms, including the bullseye target mark around one of the rashes. So they went to a walk-in clinic, and the mark. They saw that bullseye and they started them immediately on amoxicillin. Well, later they went to their own pediatrician who agreed to test all 3. Said, well, Lyme's disease isn't in Arkansas. So we will do it just to ease your mother's mind. So they tested him. Boy, these doggies, they know about ticks. Although I'll tell you something, and then I'll get back to the story I'm sharing with you. With our doggies, we have pills that we can give them, and they're safe from ticks or fleas or any of that stuff for 3 months. Yep, host puppies can go wherever they want to in Arkansas for 3 months. Well, if you don't want to use the pills because they're kind of costly, there's also drops that you can put between their shoulder blades, put it down the length of their bodies, and they're protected for a month. Now, if they can do this for our host puppies and our fur babies, why, oh why, can they not come up with some beings? Wouldn't that be once and be safe from all those pests in Arkansas or any place else you wanted to go? Well, I just don't understand why they don't have something like that. Do you? Well, I'd sure like to hear from you at flow at KLRNradio.com. We're again, flow at KLRNradio.com. You don't want to hear me sing. My husband always says, oh, hush, don't sing. Please don't sing. But I just had to tell you about that. Okay, now back to the Girl Scouts. They were at the pediatrician's office, and the pediatrician was going to go ahead and test the girls to ease their mother's mind. She knew that they didn't have Lyme disease in Arkansas. Well, he tested via the CDC testing criteria, and sure enough, 2 of them tested back positive. Evidently, one was going to test positive later on and have symptoms, but not just quite yet. So once they tested positive, Arkansas had to admit that, yes, Lyme's disease is in Arkansas, and there's other tick-carrying diseases in the state. So the tick bites, yes, they carry diseases. So be careful when you tick bites. CDC, they make it kind of difficult to confirm that someone has Lyme disease because they use what's it called? That one test. I can't think of the name of it right now. I think it's something like the Western blot test that CDC uses. And it's somewhat difficult to confirm because someone who has Lyme's, early on, it might not show. So there was a case of a nurse that I read about in a few articles, and she had Lyme disease, but the doctor didn't diagnose this right, and for 5 years she was on a different antibiotic, and she said that she felt like she really lost a lot because of being on the wrong medicines. Have the bull's eye, that Lyme's is often associated with. So the doctor in Arkansas, they weren't used to Lyme, and since she didn't have typical symptoms, they missed it. And so she didn't get started on the right antibiotics, and her organ, she said, suffered. And she said that's why partially she thought she had diabetes as well. There's some interesting articles out there about her. Registered nurse, so you can read about her yourself. She's an interesting person. Just look up the registered nurse who had Lyme disease in Arkansas. You probably come up with something from that. Well, did you know that ticks can survive the washer and dryer unless dried an extra hour after the clothes are dried? Isn't that? Little critters can they're used to the heat of Arkansas. I guess that explains that. They can survive in a shower and a bath too. I had one on my head one time. I didn't know it was there. And I took showers, and I washed my hair. I didn't really feel it for a while there. And then I felt a bump and I thought, what the world? So I asked somebody and they said, why, you have a tick in your head. And they took it out for me. Thankfully, I didn't have any diseases from it. But yeah, it had survived a couple showers. So they really can survive showers. They're really something. Be aware of the ticks and remember, Arkansas was the last of the continental states to confirm that we had we had Lyme's disease in this state. Okay, now forward thinking regarding marijuana in Arkansas. We really be forward thinking regarding marijuana? Well, I don't know, and it's going to have to be. But it is now legal to use marijuana for 17 medical conditions. Lately, I've been reading many articles regarding marijuana, oil especially, and use of marijuana oil with cancer. I read one article that stated that this person had stage 4 cancer, but he used marijuana oil and it cured his cancer. I'm not too sure about that, but if it helps, use it. And he did have medical proof of this, which is interesting. And the doctors that I work with in Springs, they are advocating for a marijuana medical center to be put into Eureka Springs, which I think it could be very interesting if they do so. It'll be interesting to see what the results changes this area down here. So we'll have to keep up with that. It'll be interesting. So would you think that Arkansas is behind the times because they were one of the last to actually diagnose that they did have Lyme disease, or are they ahead of times because they're one of the, well, I think there's like 21 states now, but they are forward thinking about marijuana and medical conditions. Not all states, there's probably one is how many are going to allow marijuana for medical reasons. Do not allow marijuana. So Arkansas is almost right in the middle, I guess, when it comes to that. Kind of interesting, though, I think. Sometimes Arkansas is so hot here. I mean to tell you, you think prison, it is just miserable. Prison has always been an area of interest for me because I taught health education for a while in prison. I recently found some interesting facts about prison that I'd share with you. It's a little different than what we talk about most times on here, but we are a variety show and we talk about whatever we want to talk about. So if you have something you want to talk about, make sure you contact me. Where will you find me? You'll find me. And who am I? Flobo. O-B-O-W. Will also find me at KLRN Radio. And who am I? Flo at KLRNradio.com. Find me there, so please contact me. Waiting to hear from you so I know what you'd like to talk about. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about prison because I thought these facts were kind of interesting. And you know, there are people in the Arkansas here that do end up spending time in prison. So it's interesting no matter where you are. Okay, the American criminal justice system holds more than 2.3 million people in 1,719 state prisons, 102 federal prisons, 942 juvenile correctional facilities, 3,283 local jails, and 79 Indian country jails, well as in military, immigration detention facilities, civil commitment centers, and prisons in the United States. The Federal Bureau of Prisons is called BOP. It's a United States federal law enforcement agency. So BOP is responsible for the federal prison system. The system handles inmates who have violated and are accused of violating federal law. So remember, BOP. What is BOP? It's the Federal Bureau of Prisons. More than half of federal prisoners are incarcerated for drug crime, at least in 2010, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And that number, well, it dipped below 50% in 2011. I'm sure it's way back up by now. Louisiana has the highest incarceration rate in the United States, followed by Oklahoma and Mississippi. Well, Maine has the lowest rate. San Quentin State Prison is California's oldest detention facility. Half of the world's prison population of about 9 million is held in states, China, or Russia. Rates in the United States are the world's highest at 724 people per thousand. In Russia, the rate is 501. At 145 per 100,000, the imprisonment rate of England and Wales is about the midpoint. While 53% of sentenced state prisoners serving time for violent offenses, 7% of federal prisoners were serving sentences for violent crimes. Among female federal prisoners, 59% serving sentences for drug offenses compared to 49% of males in 2010, just 7 years ago. Adult black non-Hispanic males were incarcerated at the rate of 4,300 per 100,000 residents of the same. Adult white males were incarcerated at the rate of 678 inmates per 100,000 U.S. residents, and I don't think it's changed a whole lot. There is a special kind of federal prison called Supermax. It's short for Super Maximum Security. The objective is to provide long-term segregated housing for inmates classified as the highest security risk in the prison, the worst of the worst criminals, and those who pose a threat to national and international. They have solitary confinement there, no activities or few activities provided for recreation, education, substance abuse programs, or other activities generally considered healthy and rehabilitative at other prisons. Supermax, we mentioned, has confinement, solitary confinement, that is. They rely heavily on that. It's used to isolate and punish prisoners as well as to protect them from themselves and each other. Communication with outsiders is minimal. In Supermax, prisoners are generally allowed out of their cells for only 1 hour a day, 1.5 hours in California state. Other than that, they are kept in solitary confinement. They receive their meals through ports in the doors of their cells. Supermax inmates are allowed to exercise. This may take place in a small enclosed area where the prisoner will exercise alone. Cell doors are usually opaque while the cells may be windowless. Conditions are plain with poured concrete or metal furniture is common. Cell walls and sometimes plumbing may be soundproofed to prevent communication between the inmates. United States Penitentiary Alcatraz Island opened in 1934 and has been considered a prototype and early standard for a Supermax prison. Dubbed the electronic by inmates. Supermax prisons began to proliferate within the United States after 1984. Prior to 1984, only one prison in the U.S. met Supermax standards, and that was the Federal Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois. By 1999, the United States contained at least 57 supermax facilities spread from across 30 to 34 states. The push for this type of prison came after two correctional officers at Marion, Merle Cloughs and Robert Hoffman, were stabbed to death in two separate incidents by inmates Thomas Silverstein and Clayton Fountain. This prompted Norman Carlson, director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, to call for a new type of prison to isolate uncontrollable inmates. Carlson's view, both such a prison was the only way to deal with inmates who show absolutely no concern for human life. Federal Bureau of Prisons solitary confinement units are known as special housing units. For years, a number of United States have downgraded their supermax prison. We're not talking federal here, we're state, as has been done with Wallens Ridge State Prison, a former supermax prison in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. Other supermax prisons that have gained notoriety for their harsh conditions and attendant litigation by inmates and advocates are the former Boscobel in Wisconsin, now named the Wisconsin Secure Program Facility, Red Onion State Prison in Western Virginia, the twin to Wallens Ridge State, Hams in Illinois, and the Ohio State Penitentiary. We have to stop and pay some bills.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Some of the most dangerous prisons in America include ADX Florence facility, which is in Florence, Colorado. Size is 490 beds. Famous inmates include Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, Larry Hoover, and Timothy McVeigh. United States Penitentiary Administration Maximum Facility is a supermax prison. Men. It's known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It's operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, so the BOP. It houses the prisoners who are deemed the most dangerous and in need of the tightest control of all the prisoners within the United States federal prison system. Second one is California's only death row for inmates, the largest in the U.S. Have any idea what that might be yet? It has a gas chamber, but since 1996, executions in prison have been carried out by lethal injections. It's the oldest prison in the state of California, and it's a big one. San Quentin State Prison, 1,302 beds. Stanley Toki Williams is a famous inmate. What did Toki do? Good question. Well, he was an American gang member and convicted murderer. I'm sure you've heard of the Crips, side Crips. Has its roots in South Central Los Angeles. In 1969 it started. 1979, he was convicted of murdering 4 people. 3 of the victims were an elderly Taiwanese couple and their daughter. And the 4th victim was a 7-Eleven employee on a separate occasion. And Stanley Toki Williams III was sentenced to death. Died at age 51 on December 13, 2005 in San Quentin Prison, California. He was executed by rejection. After clemency and a 4-week stay of execution were both rejected by Governor Schwarzenegger amid debate over the death penalty. Williams was the second inmate in California to be executed in 2005. So, continuing our list, third worst prison is Sing Sing. It's located in New York. It has 1,700 beds. The prison's name came from the Native American Sink Sink, which meant Sink tribe from whom the land was purchased in 1685. Sing Sing was the third prison built by New York State. There are plans to convert the original 1825 cell block into a museum. Okay, let's see what number 4 is. Are you ready? That would be the United States Penitentiary of Atlanta. Size, it had 2,000 beds. It was a medium security prison for males, and it's primarily used as a transfer. It once held many Cuban refugees, real boat lift, if anybody remembers that. Some of its famous inmates include Michael Vick, Big Meech. Michael Vick was a former American football quarterback who played 13 seasons in the NFL, mostly with the Atlantic Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. He was actually selected by the Falcons as the first overall pick in the 2001 NFL Draft. During his 6 years with the Falcons, Vick was regarded as having transformed the quarterback position with his rushing abilities and was named to 3 Pro Bowls. He holds the records for the most career rushing yards by a quarterback and the most rushing yards by a quarterback. He had a pretty good career. Too bad he decided to get involved with a dog-fighting ring. He spent 21 months in federal prison. His arrest and subsequent conviction garnered Vick notoriety with the general public, which lasted the rest of his career. He was released by the Falcons shortly before leaving prison. After serving his sentence, Vick signed with the Eagles in 2009. As a member of the Eagles for 5 years, he enjoyed the greatest statistical, and he was named a 4th Pro Bowl 2010, but left the team after being unable to match his prior success. He also played briefly for Jets and Pittsburgh Steelers, primarily as a backup. He then retired. So that's kind of what his history's been. And we have Bernard Madoff. That last name, Madoff, it makes you know that he did something that was pretty bad, I'd say. Well, let's find out. Okay, American fraudster and a former stockbroker, investment advisor, and financer. Well, with that kind of of course we know Bernard Madoff, now well known in prison. He has 150 imprisonment. And the people there, they look at him as one to go talk to regarding their finances. Yeah, he was really a bad boy. Was involved with securities fraud, investment advisor fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud, just about any kind of fraud you could think about. False statements and perjury, making false filings with the SEC, theft from an employee benefit. Well, he didn't kill anyone. A whole lot of bad stuff. Founded the Wall Street from Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities and was its chairman until his arrest on December 11, 2008. The firm is one of the top market maker businesses on Wall Street, which bypass specialist firms by directly executing orders over the counter from He's a bad boy. He pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies and admitted to turning his wealth management business into a massive Ponzi. Yep, he's a bad boy. Frauded thousands of investors of billions of dollars. He said he began the scheme in the early 1990s. However, federal investigators believe the fraud began as early as the mid-1980s and may have begun as far back as the 1970s. Those charged with recovering the missing money believe the investment operation may never have been legitimate. The amount missing from client accounts, including fabricated gains, was almost $65 billion. Wow. Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison. The max sounds like he deserved it. Most people heard of Bernard Madoff. Yep, he was sent to that medium security prison. Okay, moving on here. Next one would be located in Attica, New York, and it is the Attica Correctional Facility. famous inmates. I know one of them's going to ring a bell with you for sure. Some of the ones that you might not be quite as familiar with are Mark David Chapman. Then there is David Berkowitz, also known as Son of Sam. Supermax Penitentiary care of celebrities turned bad guys and vice versa. The prison now holds many inmates who are serving various types of sentences, short term to life, and usually sent to the facility because of disciplinary problems in other facilities. In 1971, the prison had a riot which resulted in 39 deaths after 10 guards were taken hostage. This brought the installation of a tear gas system, any violence that came. Then next, talked about San Quentin State Prison. Now we're going to go Folsom State Prison. Some people have heard of Folsom too. Some of the famous inmates include Sage Knight, Charles Manson, everyone's heard of him, and Rick James. Folsom State Prison opened in 1880. It's the second oldest prison in the state of California. Also the first in the country to have electricity. Folsom was one of the first maximum security. It's most known for having 2 concerts at its facility by musician Johnny Cash in the late 1960s. And where did Johnny Cash come from? If you were listening last time, you know he came from Arkansas. Folsom State Prison has 1,813 beds. And you know what Charles Manson did? It's Rick James. Anybody know Rick James? Was an American musician, also known as Big Jimmy. Slick Rick. A lot of different types of music that was influenced by Smokey Robinson. Went into the U.S. Navy to avoid being drafted, but he deserted to Toronto, Canada. That's where he formed his rock and roll bands. Military's authorities discovered his whereabouts while he was recording.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
In 1966, he served a 1-year prison term related to the draft charges. Moved to California to resume his career. Drug addiction hampered his 1980s. In the 1990s, his legal troubles began, including kidnapping and torturing 2 women while he was under the influence of crack, resulting in his serving a 3-year sentence at California's Folsom State Prison. He was released on parole in 1996 and resumed his musical career. Mild stroke suffered during a concert in 1998 interrupted his career for a brief time. In 2004, he came back. Appearing in some shows, he appeared in Chappelle's Show and in a Charlie Murphy True Hollywood Stories segment that satirized his wild lifestyle. He died later that year from heart failure at 56 years of prison, folks. Next one is Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. While serving a prison sentence is not meant to be luxurious, some prisons are worse than others. This is an all-male prison. It carries out the judgment of federal courts. It houses some of the most dangerous criminals in the country and places them under some of the most repressive conditions, including a lack of ventilation. Notable inmates include Michael Vick Bugs Moran and George Machine Gun Kelly. Also, the native activist Leonard Peltier was there for a while. I understand he's someplace else at this time. They have tried many times to have Leonard Peltier be forgiven or be given time out of prison. He's a very old man now. In fact, he's probably near death. He has a lot of diabetic issues. And still, they will not let him out. I don't know if that's bad or good, you know. They say he was the real life Billy Jack. I don't know if that's true. I do know that according to the FBI, they say he was the real life Billy Jack. I don't know if that's true. I do know that according to the FBI, he shot some FBI agents. There are many other prisons in America that are some of the worst, notorious, and problematic correctional facilities there are in this country. Really do cause concerns. And there's a great controversy when it comes to super housing unit prisons. It's very controversial. Some claim that the living conditions in such facilities violate the United States Constitution, specifically the Eighth Amendments. There you will find that there is a prescription against cruel and unusual punishments. In 1996, a United Nations team assigned to investigate torture described SHU conditions as inhuman and degrading. In 2012, a federal class action suit against the Federal Bureau of Prisons and officials who ran ADX Florence SHU alleged chronic abuse, failure to properly diagnose prisoners, and neglect of prisoners who were seriously mentally ill. The suit was dismissed. Well, it kind of makes me wonder, where does the victim come in? People such as Charles Manson, I have very little sympathy or even empathy. Listen to him talk. I think the man is still crazy. So I highly suggest that we take into consideration some of the awful torture that their victims went through. Then maybe we will feel different about some of the worst prisoners being in some of these particular types of prisons. There is issues with the privatization of prisons, and it can be traced back in history and in fact all the way to the American Revolution. Where were you supposed to put criminals? How could you ship them? The undesirables, you were deprived of the ability, if you were England, to ship criminals and undesirables to the colonies. So Great Britain began placing them on prison ships, and they moored them in English ports. So there you have it, 1852, the Northwest San Francisco Bay in California, inmates of the prison ship Waban began building a to house themselves at Point Quentin. The prison became known as San Quentin, which is still in operation today. Its partial transfer of prison administration from private to public did not mark the end of privatization. So then after the Revolution, the next phase began with the Reconstruction period, which is roughly from the 1860s to mid-1870s in the South, after the end of the Civil War. So plantations and businessmen needed to find replacements for the labor force once their slaves had been freed. Beginning in 1868, convict leases were issued to private parties to supplement their workforce. This system remained in place until the early 20th century. Federal and state governments have a long history of contracting out specific services to private firms, including medical services, food preparation, vocational training, and inmate transportation. The 1980s ushered in a new era of prison privatization. With prison population bulging, resulting from the war on drugs and increased use of incarceration, prison overcrowding and rising costs became very problematic for local, state, and federal governments. In response to this expanding criminal justice system, private business interests saw an opportunity for expansion. Private sector involvement in prisons moved from the simple contracting of services to contracting for the complete management and operation of prisons. So there we have the privatization of the prison. The first private, or the modern private prison business, well, it first emerged and established itself publicly in 1980. Corrections CCA, now known as CoreCivic, was awarded a contract to take over a facility in Hamilton, Tennessee. So this was the first time that any government in the county had contracted out the complete operation of a jail to a private operator. And this became common. Statistics from the U.S. Department of Justice show that back in 2013, there were 133 state and federal prisoners housed in privately owned prisons in the U.S., constituting 8.4% of the overall U.S. prison population. So let's break it down, and you have 19.1 of the federal prison population in the United States housed in private prisons, and 6.8 of the U.S. state prison population in private prisons. The industry as a whole took in over $5 billion in revenue in 2011. So in a way, prison business. Matt Taibbi, I'm not sure if I pronounced his name correctly, Taibbi, said Wall Street banks took note of this influx of cash and are now some of the biggest investors. Wells Fargo has around $100 million invested in GEO Group and $6 million in CCA. Other major investors include some of the places you wouldn't expect, like Bank of America, Fidelity Investments, General Electric, and the Vanguard Group. Sociologist John L. Campbell and activist and journalist Chris Hedges respectively assert that prisons in the U.S. have become a lucrative and highly profitable business. So is that where we're at in America? Prisons are becoming a business? Really, America? Wow. Corrections Corporation of America, CCA, has a capacity of more than 80,000 beds in 5 correction facilities. The GEO Group operates 57 facilities with the capacity of 49,000. Most privately run facilities are located in the southern and western portions of the U.S. and include both state and federal offenders. Pecos, Texas is the site of the largest private prison in the world, the Reeves County Detention Complex, operated by the GEO Group. Capacity of 3,763 prisoners in its 3 sub-complexes. A 2016 report by the United States Department of Justice asserts that privately operated federal facilities are less safe, less secure, and more punitive than other federal prisons. Shortly thereafter, the Department of Justice announced it will stop using private prisons. Nevertheless, a month later, the Department of Homeland Security renewed a controversial contract with the CCA to continue operating the South Texas Family Residential Immigrant Detention Facility in Dilley, Texas. Stock prices for GEO surged following the 2016 elections. On February 23rd, the DOJ, under Attorney General Jeff Sessions, overturned the ban on using private prisons. According to Sessions, the Obama administration memorandum changed long-standing policy and practice and impaired the Bureau's ability to meet the future needs of the federal correctional system. Therefore, I direct the Bureau to return it to its previous approach. Cost-benefit analysis shows that some partially industry-funded often conclude that states can save money by using profit prisons. However, academic or state-funded studies have found that private prisons tend to keep more low-cost inmates and send others back to state-run prisons. Prisons contend that cost savings and efficiency of operation place private prisons at an advantage over public prisons and support the argument for private. But some research casts doubt on the validity of these arguments, as evidence has shown that private prisons demonstrably more cost-effective nor more efficient than public prisons. Evaluation of 24 different studies on cost-effectiveness reveal that at best, results of the question are inclusive and at worst, no difference in cost-effectiveness. The U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics found that the cost savings promised by private prisons have simply not materialized. Some research has concluded that for-profit prisons cost more than public prisons. Furthermore, cost estimates from privatization advocates may be misleading because private facilities often refuse to accept inmates that cost the most to house. 2005 study, way back when, found that Arizona's public facilities were 7 times more likely to house violent offenders and 3 times more likely to house those convicted of more serious offenses. A 2011 report by the American Civil Liberties Union point out private prisons are more costly, more violent, and less accountable than public prisons, and are actually a major contributor to increased mass incarceration. This is most apparent in Louisiana, which has the highest incarceration rate in the world and houses the majority of its inmates in for-profit facilities. It's time to take out that checkbook. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Just like we promised, we're back. A 2014 study by a doctoral candidate at UC Berkeley shows that minorities make up a greater percentage of inmates at private prisons than in their public counterparts, largely because minorities are cheaper to incarcerate. According to this study, for-profit prison operators, in particular CCA and GO Group, accumulate these low-cost inmates through explicit and implicit exemptions written into contracts between these private prison management companies and state departments of corrections. There's often inadequate staff at these private facilities, which may lead to increases in the incidence of violence and escapes. A nationwide study found that assaults on guards by inmates were 49% more frequent in private prisons than in government-run prisons. The same study revealed that assaults on fellow inmates were 65% more frequent in private prisons. The Walnut Grove Correctional Facility is now closed, but according to the journalists Margaret Newkirk and William Selway, the ratio of staff to prisoners in this prison was only 1 to 120. This prison had a bloody riot, and 6 inmates were rushed to the hospital, including one with permanent brain damage. Wonder why this prison's closed. During the riot, the staff of the prison, which obviously it could not respond quickly with only 1 to 120 inmates, but it did wait until the melee ended because prisoners outnumbered staff by a ratio of 60 to 1. Interesting that according to a former prisoner in that particular prison, those correction officers were also in charge of smuggling in the prison. To make more money, they provided prisoners everything, including weapons. Law enforcement investigations led to the exposure of a far wider web of corruption. No doubt. Wow. This is rather interesting. Some states tried to ban, and in fact have banned, private prisons. 4 private prison companies have built new prisons before they were awarded privatization contracts in order to lure state contract approval. 2001, Wisconsin's Joint Budget Committee recommended language to ban all future speculative prison construction in the state. Yay, Wisconsin. Such anticipatory building dates back to 1997, when Corrections Corporation of America built a 2,000-bed facility in California at a cost of $80 to $100 million with no contract from the California Department of Corrections. A CCA official was quoted as saying, "If we build it, they will come." Wow. Federal Bureau of Prisons announced its intent to end for-profit prison contracts, terminating federal contracts. On August 18, 2016, Deputy U.S. Attorney General Sally Yates announced that the Justice Department intended to end its Bureau of Prisons contracts with for-profit prison operators because it concluded the facilities are both less safe and less effective at providing correctional services than the Federal Bureau of Prisons. In response, Isa Arnita, the spokesperson for the U.S. for-profit prison operator management and training corporation, said it was disappointed to learn about the DOJ's decision. If the DOJ's decision to end the use of contract based solely on declining inmate populations, there may be some justification. But to base this decision on cost, safety and security, and programming is wrong. In a memorandum, Yates continued, for profit. Prisons served an important role during a difficult period, but time has shown that they compare poorly to our own Bureau facilities. They simply do not provide the same level of correctional services, programs, and resources. They do not save substantially on cost, and as noted in a recent report by the Department's Office of Inspector General, they do not maintain the same level of safety and security. The rehabilitative services that the Bureau provides, such as educational programs and job training, have proved difficult to replicate and outsource, and these services are essential to reducing and improving public safety. So in 2015, we ceased the privatization of jails, and in 2016, we override that, and we again start with privatization of jails and prisons, actually not jails. So what do you think? Is privatization of prisons, is it a form of business? Is it a form of making profits on prisoners, so to speak? Is it okay to have that type of business in America? Really not sure what I think. I am a Trump fan and advocate, but I don't know that I particularly approve of this particular override of his. I guess time will tell. I am interested in what you think, so do email me. You know where to find me. Where do you find me? Flo at KLRNRadio.com. Flo at KLRNRadio.com. And on Twitter, who am I? Flobo, of course. Flobo, that's me. Yep. The majority of military members don't get in trouble. But what happens if you're in deep trouble and need to go to jail and Middle East, or maybe you're on an aircraft carrier, or maybe you're on a ship? The jail's brought with them, and it's called the brig. Think that an upcoming battle earns some help for misbehavior. Think that heading towards a fight won't keep you from getting to the brig. The book called Miracle at Midway. I'll recommend this book today, since we need a book to recommend for the day. I'll call it Miracle at Midway, and it's written by historian Gordon Prang. He relates how Mark Mitcher, captain of the aircraft carrier USS Harnett, threw a couple of sailors in the brig for minor infractions prior to the Battle of Midway. And believe me, it still happens today. The sailors are sent to the brig after what is known as a captain's mast. That's covered under Article 15 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So according to naval orientation, the amount of time someone may be confined is limited. The exact limits depends on the rank of the commanding rank of the accused. So you might find that you're going to be in jail no matter where you are, even if you're in the military far from home. Best not to misbehave, just do your job and all will be fine. So now that we can play our Monopoly get out of free jail card here, what I tried to do last night or last Monday, but I couldn't due to some technical difficulties, and that is to give you the recipe for Arkansas possum pie. Very well-known recipe in North where I'm located right now. So your ingredients: you need 1 graham cracker crust, you need 6 ounces cream cheese softened, and you need 3/4 cup powdered sugar, 1/4 cup pecans chopped, 1 3/4 cups milk, teaspoon vanilla extract, vanilla instant pudding mix, 1/3 cup instant chocolate pudding. Okay, 1/2 cup heavy cream, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1/2 cup chocolate cookies crushed, and 15 pecans. halves. This is how you make it. First, you beat the sugar, pour into the crust, sprinkle with chopped pecans, whisk the milk, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and pudding mixes for 2 minutes. Let stand for 2 minutes. Spoon pudding mix over pecans. Sprinkle with 1/4 cup of the cookies. Refrigerate for 4 to 6 hours. Whipped cream with 1 teaspoon vanilla. Spread over pie. Top with pecan halves and remaining cookie crumbs. And there you have it. It's really not a hard pie to make. It may take you a little bit of time, but most people around here go yum yum when you make it. So give it a try. It's joked about in Arkansas. Really, it's a true recipe. They even serve it at Murdy May's. And Murdy May was one of the first people that served Arkansas food, including chicken around here. So you know it has to be a pretty doggone good pie. Give it a try and let me know what you think of it. How do you find me? Oh, you know. You really do know. That you said? KLRN Radio. There you got it. Flo at KLRN Radio. That would be me, Flo at KLRN Radio. And you would find in your email, and then I will respond to it hopefully. Thanks. CDC, the Control of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is warning that salmonella infections are linked to live poultry and backyard flocks. Quite a bit of this lately, it seems. In 2018, there were 71 hospitalizations, 47 states affected, 372 cases, and 8 outbreaks. The outbreaks are caused by several kinds of salmonella. 372 people were infected with the outbreak. Strains of salmonella have been reported from 47 states. Illnesses started on dates ranging from January 4th, 2017 to May 13th, 2017. 71 ill people have been hospitalized. No deaths have been reported. 36% of ill people are children younger than 5 years. Studies and findings link the 8 outbreaks to contact with the poultry, such ducklings, which come from several hatcheries. Interviews, 190 of 228 ill people reported contact with live poultry in the week before illness started.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
People reported purchasing live baby poultry from several sources. Contact with live poultry and the areas where they live and roam can make people sick with the salmonella infections. Chicks, ducklings, and other live poultry that look healthy and clean can carry the salmonella bacteria. Outbreaks linked to contact with live poultry have increased in recent years as backyard flocks. 2016, a record number of illnesses were linked to backyard poultry. Just follow these simple steps for protecting yourself and others while enjoying your flock. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water right after anything in the area where they live and roam. Also, wash your hands after handling clothes and shoes that have touched live poultry. Adults should supervise hand washing for young children. If soap and water are not readily available, use hand sanitizer until you are able to wash your hands with soap and water. Don't let the poultry inside the house, in bathrooms, or especially in areas where food or drink is prepared, served, or stored, such as kitchens or outdoor patios. Do not eat or drink in the area where the birds live or roam. Children younger than 5, adults older than 65, and people with weakened immune systems should not handle or touch chicks, ducklings, or other live poultry. People in these groups are more likely to have a severe illness from salmonella infection. Do not snuggle or kiss the birds. Touch your mouth or eat or drink around live poultry. Stay outdoors when cleaning any equipment or materials used or care for live poultry, such as cages, feed, or water containers. You collect eggs from your hens. Follow safe handling tips. Always wash your hands with soap and water after handling eggs, chickens, or anything in their environment. Collect eggs often. Eggs that spend a significant amount of time in the nest can become dirty or break. Cracked eggs should be thrown away. Refrigerate eggs after collection. Eggs with dirt and debris can be cleaned with fine sandpaper, a brush, or cloth. Don't wash eggs because colder water can pull bacteria into the egg. Cook eggs thoroughly. Raw and undercooked eggs may contain salmonella bacteria that can make you sick. Thus far, Arkansas, which is a very heavily, thus far, Arkansas has a lot of birds via work through Tyson's, has only had one case reported this year. Hooray, Arkansas. Looks like Kentucky so far is coming in with the largest number of. There are a total of 372 cases again. Salmonella. You can find your state listing and see how many your state has by looking up salmonella. Remember, save lives. That's been discovered, still as important as when it was first discovered. Hand washing is like a do-it-yourself vaccine. It includes 5 simple and effective steps. Wet lathers take to reduce the spread of diarrhea and respiratory illness so you can stay healthy. Regular hand washing, particularly before and after certain activities, is one of the best ways to remove germs and getting sick and prevent the spread of germs to others. It's quick, it's simple, and it can keep us off from getting sick. Hand washing is a win for everyone except the germs. So wash your hands, and you will be fighting germs. Now, a good way to scrub your hands long enough is to sing happy birthday to yourself. And then you'll know that you got the time in that you need. So do wash those hands. That's extremely important. There's nothing that you can do that will prevent the spread of disease better than washing your hands. Don't have hand washing material close by, or maybe you don't have running water. Use the sterilizer so you can actually get to a place to. CDC, the Control of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is warning that salmonella infections are linked to live poultry and backyard flocks. Quite a bit of this lately, it seems. In 2018, there were 71 hospitalizations, 47 states affected, 372 cases, and 8 outbreaks. Outbreaks are caused by several kinds of salmonella. 372 people were infected with the outbreak. Strains of salmonella have been reported from 47 states. Illnesses started on dates ranging from January 4th, 2017 to May 13th, 2017. 71 ill people have been hospitalized. No deaths have been reported. 36% of ill people are children younger than 5 years. Studies and findings link the 8 outbreaks to contact with the poultry, such ducklings, which come from several hatcheries. Interviews, 190 of 228 ill people reported contact with live poultry in the week before illness started. People reported purchasing live baby poultry from several sources. Contact with live poultry in the areas where they live and roam can make people sick with the salmonella infections. Chicks, ducklings, and other live poultry that look healthy and clean can carry the salmonella bacteria. Outbreaks linked to contact with live poultry have increased in recent years as backyard flocks. 2016, a record number of illnesses were linked to backyard poultry. Just follow these simple steps for protecting yourself and others while enjoying your flock. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water right after anything in the area where they live and roam. Also, wash your hands after handling clothes and shoes that have touched live poultry. Adults should supervise hand washing for young children. If soap and water are not readily available, use hand sanitizer until you are able to wash your hands with soap and water. Don't let the poultry inside the house, in bathrooms, or especially in areas where food or drink is prepared, served, or stored, such as kitchens or outdoor patios. Do not eat or drink in the area where the birds live or roam. Children younger than 5, adults older Adults older than 65 and people with weakened immune systems should not handle or touch chicks, ducklings, or other live poultry. People in these groups are more likely to have a severe illness from salmonella infection. Do not snuggle or kiss the birds. Touch your mouth or eat or drink around live poultry. Stay outdoors when cleaning any equipment or materials used or care for live poultry, such as cages, feed, or water containers. You collect eggs from your hens. Follow safe handling tips. Always wash your hands with soap and water after handling eggs, chickens, or anything in their environment. Collect eggs often. Eggs that spend a significant amount of time in the nest can become dirty or break. Cracked eggs should be thrown away. Refrigerate eggs after collection. Eggs with dirt and debris can be cleaned with fine sandpaper, a brush, or cloth. Don't wash eggs because colder water can pull bacteria into the egg. Cook eggs thoroughly. Raw and undercooked eggs may contain salmonella bacteria that can make you sick. Thus far, Arkansas, which is a Arkansas has a lot of birds via work through Tyson's, has only had one case reported this year. Hooray, Arkansas. Looks like Kentucky so far is coming in with the largest number of. There are a total of 372 cases again. Salmonella. You can find your state listing and see how many your state has by looking up salmonella. Remember, save lives. That's been discovered, still as important as when it was first discovered. Hand washing is like a do-it-yourself vaccine. It includes 5 simple and effective steps. Wet lathers take to reduce the spread of diarrhea and respiratory illness so you can stay healthy. Regular hand washing, particularly before and after certain activities, is one of the best ways to remove germs and getting sick and prevent the spread of germs to others. It's quick, it's simple, and it can keep us off from getting sick. Hand washing is a win for everyone except the germs. So wash your hands, and you will be fighting germs. Now, a good way to scrub your hands long enough is to sing happy birthday to yourself. And then you'll know that you got the time in that you need. So do wash those hands. That's extremely important. There's nothing that you can do that will prevent the spread of disease better than washing your hands. Don't have hand washing material close by, or maybe you don't have running water. Use the sterilizer so you can actually get to a place to wash your hands. I'd like to share a story with you. It's called The Great California Gold Rush, and it's out of a book called My Fun with Learning, Real Life Heroes and America's Story. California territory in the 1840s was a vast frontier. Along its beautiful Pacific coastline, there were missions and little villages that had been built by Spanish colonizers and missionaries. Families of some of the early Spanish settlers owned immense land grants or ranchos. Life was unhurried, and the afternoon siesta or nap was a tradition. Then one day, something happened that was to change everything. January 24th, 1848, a man named James Marshall discovered rocks containing a yellow metal at the bottom of a river. Metal was gold. It was a hard-working California settler named John Sutter. Sutter had left Germany in search of a fortune. In 1839, he was granted a large tract of land by the Mexican governor of California. Sutter built a fort and began a settlement. Soon there were granaries, mills, and stores at the settlement, and Sutter became very wealthy. Sutter hired James Marshall to build a sawmill on his property. The mill was built on the bank of the American River, not far from Sutter's fort. The mill's great saw was to be powered by a water wheel, and Marshall was busy deepening the channel or mill race for the water wheel when he saw little flakes of gold in the hard white quartz behind the riverbed. Marshall told John Sutter about his discovery. Sutter had mixed feelings about the news Marshall brought him. He realized that the gold could make him fabulously wealthy. Also mean the destruction of the private, peaceful little empire he had built. And Marshall agreed not to tell anyone about the discovery. But the workers who helped Marshall build the sawmill could not keep the secret. Soon, people from all over California were camping on Sutter's property, searching for gold. The whole country learned of the discovery when President James K. Polk made his yearly message to Congress in December 1848. Polk displayed a quantity of gold found in California and announced, "The accounts of the abundance of gold are of such extraordinary character as would scarcely command belief." President Polk's message inspired thousands of people to set out for California to seek their fortunes in what became known as the Gold Rush. In 1849 alone, over 80,000 gold hunters reached California. Some of these adventurers, who came to be known as the 49ers because the gold rush began in 1849, traveled by sea around South America's stormy Cape Horn. Others sailed to cut across the jungles of the Isthmus of Panama and continued by ship once they reached the Pacific side of the isthmus. The largest number journeyed overland. But unfortunately, most young, healthy, determined survived. It seemed that the gold seekers would never stop coming, and there was good reason. The mother lode, the main source of the gold-bearing quartz, was discovered in 1850. It was hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold. Most of the 49ers were not lucky enough to find gold, but a few did strike pay dirt, made their fortunes. Other 49ers made money other ways by working as bakers, doctors, carpenters, wagon drivers, or teamsters, dentists, hotel keepers, newspaper publishers, storekeepers, farmers, and ranchers. As the gold ran out and people got over their gold fever, some of the disappointed prospectors packed up and traveled back to where they had come from. But many of the 49ers stayed in California and helped build new towns, cities, ranches, farms, orchards, and vineyards. What of John Sutter? His workers deserted him to search for gold. He sold some of his land to gold seekers. Others simply seized what they wanted. Sutter was unable to stop the thousands of people who camped on his dug, panned, or mined for gold. He went to the courts for help, but they would not honor his land claims. Sutter's original land grants were made by the Mexican government. Finally, John Sutter moved to a small farm in Pennsylvania, but he never gave up his hope that the United States government would restore his lands to him. In 1880, on one of his many trips to Washington, D.C., John Sutter died. James Marshall fared no better. He died in poverty in 1885. His grave is near the spot where he made his historic discovery. Years before, Sutter and Marshall had met with the controlled much of the gold-producing Sacramento Valley. An old chief of the tribe spoke words of warning. "Yellow metal, my white friends, seek is bad medicine. It belongs to an evil spirit who in the end devours all who search for it." For Sutter and Marshall and many others, these words came true. But for others, the great gold rush brought good fortune. There were two sides to the bright gold coin James Marshall's discovery produced: happiness for some, heartbreak for others. Today, California's capital city of Sacramento stands not far from the site of Sutter's Fort. Everywhere throughout California, you can meet the descendants of the brave and adventurous 49ers when we come back about California.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
There's a lot to be said about California. A western United States stretches from the Mexican border along the Pacific for nearly 900 miles. Its terrain includes cliff-lined beaches, redwood forest, the Sierra Nevada mountains, Central Valley farmland, and the hot Mojave Desert. The city of LA is the seat of the Hollywood entertainment industry. Hilly San Francisco is known for the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, and cable cars. Learned in our story, the capital is Sacramento. The minimum wage in California is $10.50 per hour as of January 1st, 2017. 2015, the population was 39.4. Senators are Kamala Harris, Democrat, and Dianne Feinstein, Democrat. Many interesting places to visit in California, including Disneyland, famed amusement park with 8 themed islands. Can you imagine? Wow. Disneyland Park, originally Disneyland, is the first of 2 theme parks built at the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California, opened on July 17, 1955. I was 1 day short of being a full month old. It is the only theme park designed at studios in Hollywood, a big themed amusement park. Universal Studios Hollywood is a film studio and theme park in the Universal City County Island area of the San Fernando Valley of LA County, California, United States. Knott's Berry Farm, old school theme park with rides and charm. A classic theme park boasts fast rides, old fashioned charm, famous fried chicken. Making me hungry already. We talked a lot about chicken, and I'll tell you, there's nothing better than some good old finger licking chicken. Yum. What he has to say about that, all right? Well, okay then. And moving on here, Disney California Adventure, a modern theme park with dining and shows. Disney California Adventure Park, commonly referred to as Disney California Adventure, or DCA, is a theme park located in Anaheim. And then we have a theme park pick with and a pool. That is what Legoland is, a theme park and aquarium located in Carlsbad, California, based on the Lego toy brand. Opened on March 20th, 1999, the third Legoland park to open. And of course, Yosemite National Park, go-to destination for outdoor activities. Yosemite National Park is in California's Sierra Nevada mountains. It's famed for its giant ancient sequoia trees and for tunnel view, the iconic vista of towering Bridalveil Fall and the granite. SeaWorld San Diego, aquatic park with shows and rides. SeaWorld operates a chain of marine mammal parks. The company offers services including food, dining experiences, merchandise, behind-the-scene guide tours, and animal interactions. And don't forget Golden Gate Bridge. That's quite an adventure within itself. It was opened in 1937. It's a suspension bridge, ooh, scary, spanning the Golden Gate Strait, the 1 mile wide, 1.7 mile long channel between San Francisco Bay and the Pacific Ocean. And then Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, notorious prison, historical attraction. Alcatraz Island is located in San Francisco Bay, 1.25 miles offshore from San Francisco, California, United States. The small island was developed with faculties for a lighthouse. Lake Tahoe has ski resorts, beaches, Bay Park. Lake Tahoe is a large freshwater lake in the Sierra Nevada mountains, the border of California and Nevada. It's known for its beaches and ski resorts. On the southwest shore is Emerald Balboa Park. That's Emerald Bay Park. Balboa Park is a multi-attraction park that covers 20 acres. Can you imagine that? Sprawling outward destination is home to the city's renowned zoo, 17 museums, gardens, and much more. Griffith Observatory there, and there is a planetarium, telescopes, and city this Griffith Observatory. Art Deco landmark from 1935 features a high-tech planetarium, public telescopes, and city. And everyone's heard of Hollywood Walk of Fame. Michael Jackson Theater and Monument. The Hollywood Walk of Fame comprises more than 2,600 five-pointed terrazzo and brass stars embedded in the sidewalks along 15 blocks of Hollywood Boulevard and 3 blocks of Vine Street. Sierra Nevada, mountains, backpacking, lakes, and hiking. The Sierra Nevada is a mountain range in the western United States between the Central Valley of California and the Basin and Range province. The vast majority of the range lies in the state. Hollywood sign, iconic letters atop Mount Lee since 1923. Erected in 1923, this symbolic landmark on Mount Lee is often viewed from Griffith Park Observatory. San Diego Zoo Safari Park has a vast wildlife sanctuary with tours. Visitor tours of an 1,800-acre wildlife sanctuary with over 300 species of African and Asian animals. Six Flags Magic Mountain, an amusement park with many roller coasters. Six Flags Magic Mountain is a 262-acre theme park located in the Santa Clarita, California neighborhood of Valencia, north of LA. It opened on May 30th, 1971 as Magic Mountain Development. Fisher's Wharf, seafood, sea lion, earless seal, and clam. Fisherman's Wharf is a neighborhood and popular tourist attraction in San Francisco, California. It roughly encompasses the northern waterfront area of San Francisco.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
Gerald Deli Square or Hollywood Boulevard. San Diego Zoo, Safari Park, and Wildlife Conservation. The San Diego Zoo is a zoo in Balboa Park, San Diego, California, housing over 3,700 animals of more than 650 species and subspecies. Its parent organization, San Diego Zoo Global, is one Monterey Bay Aquarium, sprawling marine life attraction, well-known aquarium on a rocky coastline with exhibits ranging from otter habitats to touch pools. Wow. Hearst Castle, storied hilltop mansion, open for tours. Guest explore the art and grounds of the 20th century mansion built by the media magnate. Sequoia National Park, giant trees plus hiking and camping. Sequoia National Park is adjacent to King Canyon National Park in California's southern Sierra Nevada mountains. It's known for its huge sequoia trees, notably the General Sherman tree.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
Grave Tar Pits, prehistoric fossil excavation site. Ice Age fossil excavation site with an adjacent museum, plus a recreated prehistoric garden. Winchester Mystery House, quirky mansion with odd design details, sprawling landmark with a staircase leading nowhere, and other odd features designed to confuse ghosts. And of course, there has to be something on Muir Woods National Monument. Very beautiful redwood tree-filled park. Muir Woods National Monument is part of California's Golden Gate National Recreation Area, north of San Francisco. It's known for its towering old-growth redwood trees. Trails wind among the Redwood National and State Parks. And there are vast, imposing forests of redwood trees. At the Redwood National and State Parks, there are old-growth temperate rainforests located in the United States along the coast of northern California. comprising Redwood National Park and California Tree National Park. Joshua Tree National Park is a desert destination with geologic wonders. It is a vast protected area in Southern California. It's characterized by rugged rock formations and stark desert landscapes, named for the region's twisted, bristled Joshua trees. Santa Monica Pier, popular landmark for rides and restaurants. Storied seaside destination boasting a range of shops and cafes, plus an amusement park and aquarium. Lombard Street, famous crooked street with hairpins turns. A 27-degree angle, this famously crooked street features 8 hairpin turns and landscape flower beds. Grauman's Chinese Theater, landmark cinema and celebrity footprints. This iconic, opulent theater hosts movie premieres and immortalizes hand and footprints of the stars. USS Midway Museum, historic aircraft carrier with exhibits. But sea exhibits restored planes and flight simulators aboard this legendary aircraft carrier. Getty Center, celebrated free venue for art exhibits. The Getty Center in LA, California is a campus of the Getty Museum and other programs of the Getty Trust. The $1.3 billion center opened to the public on December 16, 1997. Aquarium to the Pacific, sea life exhibits in a waterfront space. Pacific Ocean dwells on display at this large aquarium with touch tanks and behind-the-scenes tours. Griffith Park, hiking trails, city views, and LA Zoo. Urban oasis featuring hiking and equestrian trails plus city views, the Greek Theater, and LA Zoo. Golden Gate Park, gardens, trails, museums, and festivals. City's 1,000 AC oasis draws hikers, bikers, art lovers, and music fans. Union Square, historic public square and popular hangout. Bustling public square in the heart of the city, surrounded by shops, theaters, hotels, and restaurants. Presidio of San Francisco, hiking, golf, hunting, walking, and art. Presidio of San Francisco is a park and famous and former U.S. Army military fort on the northern tip of the San Francisco Peninsula in San Francisco, California, part of the Golden Gate National. Napa Valley, AVA, wineries, hot springs, and Napa Wine Train. Napa Valley is a renowned California wine-producing region north of San Francisco with hundreds of vineyards set amid rolling hills. As wineries, and they range from small family-run estates to landmarks. Death Valley National Park. Boy, talk about hot. Over 3.4 million acres of wilderness. Death Valley National Park straddles eastern California and Nevada. It's known for Titus Canyon, with a ghost town and colorful rocks and bad water basin sea flats. Kings Canyon National Park. Natural vistas and outdoor activities. King Canyon National Park is adjacent to Sequoia National Park in California's Sierra Nevada mountains, known for its huge sequoia trees, notably the gigantic General Grant tree. Henry Cowell Redwood State Forest, or State Park, park with campgrounds and hiking trails. Featuring a variety of forested areas, this park offers camping, fishing, hiking, and picnic. Heavenly Mountain Resort. Tahoe Resort with year-round activities. Sprawling Lake Tahoe Resort offering skiing, snowboarding, and biking, as well as lodging and eaterings. Range, mountains, volcanoes, hiking, and glaciers. The Cascade Range, or Cascades, is a major mountain range of western North America, extending from southern British Columbia through Washington and Oregon to northern California. Squaw Valley Ski Resort for the ski buffs, skiing and year-round recreation. Huge ski resort in 1960 Olympic style with many recreational activities plus a spa, restaurants, and more. Los Angeles County Museum of Art. From pre-Columbian to contemporary works, this 20-acre campus with diverse collections spanning art history also offers screenings and concerts. Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park. Park, camping, hiking, fishing, and forest. Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park is a state park of California, United States, preserving old-growth redwoods along the Smith River. It is located along U.S. Route 199, approximately 9 long. Huntington Library, cultural center with galleries and gardens. Dome. Hiking and climbing. Half Dome is a granite dome at the eastern end of Yosemite Valley in Yosemite National Park, California. It is a well-known rock formation in the park named for its distinct shape. Channel Islands National Park. 5 islands to explore by land and sea. Channel Islands National Park comprises 5 ecologically rich islands off the southern California coast. The island has trails up to a 1932 lighthouse and clifftop Inspiration Point. The motto of California is Eureka, meaning I have found it. A few famous people from California. Paul Black, actress and ambassador. Julie Child, a chef. Joe DiMaggio, a baseball player. James H. Doolittle, an Air Force general. Robert Frost, a poet. George E. Held, an astronomer. Jack London, author. James W. Marshall first discovered gold there. John Muir, well-known naturalist. Richard M. Nixon, president. George S. Patton, Jr., general. Robert Redford, actor. Sally K. Ride, astronaut. Tiger Woods, golfer. Although California was sighted by Spanish navigator John Rodriguez Cabrillo in 1542, its first Spanish mission at San Diego was not established until 1769. California became a United States territory in 1847 when Mexico surrendered it to John C. Fremont. On January 24th, 1848, James W. Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill, starting the California Gold Rush and bringing settlers to the state in large numbers. By 1964, California had surpassed New York, become the most populous state. One reason for this may be that more immigrants settle in California than any other state, more than one-third of the nation's total in 1994. Asians and Pacific Islanders led the influx. Leading industries include agriculture, manufacturing, transportation equipment, machinery and electronic equipment, biotechnology, aerospace, defense, and tourism. Principal natural resources include timber, petroleum, cement, and natural gas. Death Valley in the southeast is 282 feet below sea level, the lowest point in the nation. Mount Whitney is the highest point in the contiguous 48 states. Lassen Peak is one of 2 active U.S. volcanoes outside of Alaska and Hawaii. Its last eruptions were recorded in 1917. Other points of interest include Yosemite National Park, Disneyland, Hollywood, the Golden Gate Bridge, many of which we've already referred to. Austrian-born bodybuilder turned actor Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor of California in 2003 in a special recall election replacing Gary Davis. Governor Schwarzenegger was re-elected in 2006. Jerry Brown was elected governor of California in 2010, an achievement made more remarkable by the fact that he had already been the state's governor from 1975 to 1983. Almost 20 years after California passed the Save Our State initiative, which denied public, social, educational, and health services to illegal immigrants, Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill in 2011 giving illegal immigrant college students access to state-funded financial aid, the second half of 2-part legislation known as the DREAM Act. This time to pay bills really crept up. About you. I tell you, sometimes it doesn't seem like there's enough money for the month. You know how that is. But I have just enough time to tell you a really cute story before we need to go pay those bills. This one kind of snuck up on me. This is such a cute story. A Missouri girl, she was little girl, was surprised Saturday by dozens of police officers. Came to her lemonade stand. It was set outside her home, first to raise enough money to buy a police officer costume. And she'd been obsessed with police officers, her mama said, since she could talk. They don't know how, but they said from the time she was 18 months old, and they said, we don't have any police officers in our family, so it kind of came true, I guess. Well, anyway, the story goes on that anytime she goes to a grocery store, a gas station, or any place and sees a policeman and she get to them, she has to shake their hands and has to talk to them. Hannah's favorite show is the animated Paw Patrol. And so she had her own little lemonade stand at the garage sale. And when she raised her $40, her aunt took her to Toys R Us and she purchased her own police uniform. Hannah was so happy she hurriedly put it on, and in the meantime, a family friend had sent a note through Facebook and said it would just make this little girl's day if there were any policemen in the area that could possibly stop by. She explained how Hannah loved police, just make her day. Well, they had K-9 units, mounted patrol, deputies, a helicopter patrol, and officers who came from different jurisdictions for him. There were, her mama said, nearly 50 officers. Lunch breaks or after they'd worked long shifts. Mama said everyone told us they had a really hard day and it was really busy. And after we put that post up, things slowed down and it was like fate. Every single said that, Mama said. So I believe Mama. Anyway, the officers also insisted on contributing to Hannah's lemonade fund. The family made a point to tell them they didn't have to, but they did. And at that point, Hannah had determined that she wanted a police car, so she was saving for a Power Wheels police car. So once they heard that, they just kept putting money in her jars. Police officers kept coming until around 8 p.m. Saturday night, said Mama. Hannah hasn't stopped talking about these police that were her visitors since. She woke up the next day and asked if more police officers were coming by. She was excited when the Kansas City Police Department offered for her and her mama to come and tour the department. And Mama says that's been on her mind heavy and steady, let me tell you. Sounds like she's one really avid police worshiper at a very young age. Mama wanted to make sure and thank the police for making little Hannah's dream come true. Said what they did was just amazing. We never expected that ever, she said. They treated our daughter so well and were just so kind. Better get those bills paid, and we better do it right now.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
We have so many world events. I even hate to start on them. These days. We have a little midget in Korea that wants to start nuclear war. I think Mr. Frog is making his presence known. Excuse me. So anyway, midget in North Korea is wanting to make his presence known, and he's threatening nuclear war. It's scary in the fact that it's said that if he actually definitely start war, Eisenhower said he didn't know how World War III would start, but if it started, the result would be we'd have rocks to throw as weapons at the end of it. Sadly, it would take a lot of lives as well. It's hard to understand why a crazy person would want to take the lives of his own people in his own country by starting World War III. Hopefully, he's just threatening to get attention. It's hard to know with crazy people. And recently, we had an attack in Afghanistan. There was a bombing that killed over 150, according to the Afghanistan president. He said it was the deadliest single attack since 2001 when the U.S.-led invasion toppled the Taliban. The attack was probably aimed at the upcoming decision by Trump and North America allies over whether to send back some of the troops withdrawn from Afghanistan by President Obama. Well, there's two sides of this viewpoint, as there so often is. Would more troops help or hurt Afghanistan? All the sergeants and the people in the military, generals, want to have more troops sent. They have sent a proposal stating so. And that may be feasible, but there's also another side of the fence and the way to look at that, and that is that Nicholson has recently accused Pakistan, Iran, and Russia of providing support to the Taliban. So is it possible these countries would increase their aid to the Taliban if in fact they are aiding them? On June 6th, the Afghan government is hosting the first meeting of the Kabul process to build a regional. President Trump plans to attend this consensus for peacemaking. So, what are your thoughts about sending more soldiers? Should we or should we not? I think it's hard to know what to do these days. Then we have the British. Well, in London Bridge is falling down. British policemen who left a trail of bloodshed with a van and knife attack in central London and appealed for the public's help Monday to learn more about their movements in the days leading up to the deadly rampage that killed 7 people dead and dozens wounded. Khurram Shahzad Butt was a 27-year-old Pakistani-born Briton known to authorities according to a statement issued by London police. Rachid Radon, who had claimed to be Moroccan and Libyan, variously gave his ages as 30 or 25 and also used El Qadar as his surname, was unknown until the night the two were shot dead, along with a third attacker who has not been identified, police said. 10 others who were arrested in the East London neighborhood of Barking, where the 2 named suspects had lived, remained in custody. The attack, launched by 3 men in the London Bridge area Saturday night, is shaping the final days of an election campaign, focusing attention on Prime Minister Theresa May's role in reducing the ranks of police officers. Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn said he supported those calling for May to resign because of her role reducing police staffing during her tenure as Home Secretary, though he said the best remedy was to vote her out. There's an election on Thursday. That's the chance, he said, citing an appalling cut in police staffing levels. We're calling for a restoration of police numbers, and there's a call being made for her to go because of what she's done on the police numbers. May, under fire because of 3 major attacks in Britain in the last 3 months, said Corbyn wasn't fit to safeguard Britain's security at a time of heightened threat. We have given increased powers to the police to be able to deal with terrorists, powers which Jeremy Corbyn has boasted he has always opposed, she said. The Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the brazen attack that started on London Bridge, then continued in the streets surrounding Borough Market. Most of the London Underground stations reopened in the neighborhood where the attack took place, allowing normal life and commerce to resume after more than 24 hours of lockdown. Some residents, cooped up inside all day Sunday, emerged from their homes first time since the attacks. We were all stuck, said Marcia Rainford, a 58-year-old who said she was sealed into her building complex with her mother and two children. We got blocked in one whole day, she said. Luckily, she had a full fridge. She said, I always stock up. Dozens were injured, 18 of them critically, in the attack that started on the London Bridge when three attackers swerved the vehicle into pedestrians, then, armed with knives, rampaged through Borough Market, slashing and stabbing anyone they could find. The three men wore fake suicide vests to make them even more imposing. The sister of a missing 32-year-old man said Monday her brother is believed to have died in the attack. Melissa McMullen told Sky News that police said her brother, James McMullen's bank card, had been found on one of the bodies. While our pain will never diminish, it is important for us all to carry on with our lives in direct opposition to those who wish to destroy us. And remember that hatred is the refuge of small-minded individuals and will only breed more, she said. She said authorities are unable to formally identify him until the coroner's report begins tomorrow. London police say they cannot confirm the names of people caught up in the attack. It is not clear how having more police on the beat would have prevented the attack, since the men were shot dead within 8 minutes. But the issue of police cuts has come back to haunt May, who served for 6 years as Home Secretary under her predecessor, David Cameron, before she became Prime Minister last year. During that time, police numbers have dropped roughly 20,000 officers, and the number of armed officers has fallen as well. May said Monday that Britain's counter-terrorism operations are fully funded, but London Mayor Sadiq Khan, a Labour figure, said cuts to police have been draconian. Over the last 7 years, we as a city have lost £600 million, equates to about $770 million in American money from our budget, he said. We have to close police stations, sell police buildings, and we've lost thousands of police staff. The official terror threat level has been set at critical in the parlous days after the Manchester concert bombing on May 22nd that killed 22 people, reflecting a judgment that an attack might be imminent because accomplices with similar bombs might be on the loose. It was lowered once intelligence agencies were comfortable that this wasn't the case. The London attack, carried out by three knife-wielding men in a rented van, is apparently unconnected to the Manchester bombing. May has said the three attacks, including one on Parliament in March, weren't connected in any operational sense, but were linked by what she called the perverted ideology of extremist Islam.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark.
Conan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick toured the site of the attack and praised the quick police work that they said prevented further deaths. Dick said the attack was ghastly, but that Londoners are pulling together and refusing to be cowed by extremists. She said providing more firearms for London police wouldn't be a sensible solution to the increased tempo of attacks, saying the strategy of having special mobile units of heavily armed officers is effective. Con and Dick were briefly heckled by a man who called for more police to be put on the street. Should more police be put on the streets in London? Or should Americans even be concerned if more police are put in the streets in London, considering that it's not our country? I know I said last week we'd have a special visitor. However, we decided that it would probably be better to wait one more week before it was broadcasted, because that way he could attend both events for Memorial Day, and also tell us about the ice cream social. So it might be interesting, even more interesting, to talk with him next week. So stay tuned. He's coming. I guess I should warn you, since his wife warned me and I know him well, he does have a very good sense of humor. So don't be thinking he's crazy if he says something kind of off the wall. That's just who he is. Last week, when we talked about how old some of the VA system IT programs are, well, now Trump administration streamlines veteran medical records. He promises us that and this is his words, the VA will announce and modernize its medical records to use the same system as the Department of Defense. No more complications. The records will now be able to follow the veteran when they leave service, meaning faster, better, and far better quality care. VA Secretary Shulkin laid out and explained the program this morning before the president's remarks. He said, I am here today to announce my decision on the future of the VA's electronic health record system, otherwise known as EHR. The health and safety of our veterans is one of our highest national priorities. Having a veteran's complete and accurate health record, single common EHR system is critical to that care and to improving patient safety. So it sounds like the wait time might be getting better for our veterans. Tolkien also said at VA, we know where almost all of our veteran patients is going to come from the DoD, and for this reason, Congress has been urging the VA and DoD for at least 17 years, from all the way back in 2000, to work more closely on EHR issues. He also said, while we have established interoperability between VA and DoD for key aspects of the health record, seamless care is fundamentally constrained by ever-changing information sharing standards, separate chains of command, complex governance, separate implementation schedules that must be coordinated to accommodate these changes from separate program offices that have separate funding appropriations, and a host of related complexities requiring constant life cycle maintenance. Without improved and constantly implemented national interoperability standards, VA and Department of Defense will continue to face significant challenges if the departments remain on two different systems. A Pentagon report says Beijing may be looking to build a base in Pakistan. The document also suggests that China may be spending a great deal more on defense than it has admitted. U.S. Defense Department released a report saying it had reason to suspect that China could be eyeing Pakistan as a possible location for a foreign military base. Pentagon said on Tuesday that the world can expect a more military-minded China to continue expanding its defense outposts outside its borders. China most likely will seek to establish additional military bases in countries with which it has a long-standing friendly relationship and similar strategic interests, such as Pakistan, and in which there is a precedent for hosting foreign militaries, said the report on China's defense policy, which is issued to Congress every year. This initiative, along with regular naval vessel visits to foreign ports, both reflects and amplifies China's growing influence, extending the reach of its armed forces, the report. The report also noted that Pakistan is already the biggest market in the Asia-Pacific region for Chinese arms exports. Beijing built its first overseas military base in the African nation on the eastern edge of the Indian Ocean. Outside of Washington, the possibility of setting up shop in Pakistan is likely to irk New Delhi as well. China has cited anti-piracy missions as the reason behind its construction there, which was already home to a large U.S. naval base. Pentagon's assessment also pointed out China has substantially built up reefs with extended runways and military facilities in the disputed waters of the South China Sea. The Pentagon also said that it estimated China's defense spending to be around $180 billion, significantly higher than its officially stated budget of $140 billion. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, conducted a training and evaluation session of National Odor Recognition Testing, NORT, to 30 local, state, and federal explosion detection canine teams, Camp Pendleton, California, June 6, 2017. Law enforcement Marines and their dogs also participated in the training aimed at improving the canine team's ability to detect 10 fundamental explosive odors. The training allows handlers to exchange information with colleagues, ask questions of ATF, canine, and explosive subject matter. Know about Operation Inherent Resolve. Joint Task Force. Operation Inherent Resolve, led by Army Lieutenant General Stephen J. Townsend, Commanding General, is a coalition of partner nations united in their resolve against the Islamic State in Iraq, ISIL. The name Inherent Resolve is intended to reflect the unwavering resolve and deep commitment of the U.S. and partner nations in the region and around the globe to eliminate the terrorist group ISIL and the threat they pose to Iraq, Syria, and the wider international community. It also symbolizes the willingness and dedication of coalition members to work closely to apply all dimensions of national power necessary, diplomatic, information, military, and economic, to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL. Here's some exciting non-political news. On August 21st, the sun will disappear across America. Part of the country from Portland, Oregon to Charleston. It will look like someone just turned off the sun in the middle of the day. Even if you live elsewhere in North America, a portion of the sun will partially disappear near midday. It's being called the Great American Eclipse. You can mark it on your calendar down to the millisecond. It's been 99 years since a total solar eclipse crossed the country from the Pacific to the Atlantic. The total solar eclipse on June 8, 1918, crossed from Washington to Florida. During the celestial event, the moon will pass between the sun and the earth. It will appear to block the sun for almost an hour and a half. Replicate an eclipse by holding a flashlight and waving your hand slowly across it. The moon blocks the sun. It will cast two types of shadows. The umbral is the small shadow cast on Earth where people will be able to see a total eclipse. Others will experience the perinumbral shadow, where they will experience a partial eclipse. Salem, Oregon will be one of the first towns to see the total eclipse, while Charleston will be one of the last. Kansas City, Nashville, and St. Louis are some of the cities that will have a good chance of seeing the sun totally covered. Space enthusiasts are already starting to get excited about the eclipse, and some are counting down the days. Oh, that's like mind-blowing, man. Can you imagine a total eclipse? That'll really be something to see. I loved it when I lived up in Alaska and saw the northern lights. That was amazing. I think this will be amazing, too. Wow. Have you heard any good jokes lately? They seem hard to come by sometimes. Well, maybe. Then again, maybe that's a good thing. Coyotes are out tonight, which is making the dogs bark. Coyotes howled even more when I played the laughing hyenas. Maybe they have really good ears, even better than my dogs. Next week, besides our guest speaker, we'll also be talking a little bit about the animals. It's amazing how many have helped our military. Really interesting to notice the huge variety of animals that have been. Some are going to come as a surprise, I'm quite sure to you. So you'll definitely want to hear about that next week. We might also be talking some about military medicine. It's so easy to fall in love. It's so easy to fall in love. It is easy to fall in love. It's not always so easy to remember that we have to stop and pay bills. We are right on that timeline, so I'm going to stop now so we can pay those bills and we can stay in line and we can keep chatting. Now, remember how to contact me so you can chat with me? Yeah, it's Flo at KLRNRadio.com. Flo at KLRNRadio.com. Waiting to hear from very special you.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Welcome back to the last portion of our show. We're so glad you spent the morning with us. We hope you'll have a great day. Forward to next week when we can more time together. I'll keep track of my Ozark adventures so I can share them with you. It'll be my last week in the Ozarks, and then we'll be going up to Minnesota for a couple days, Wisconsin for a couple days, and then we'll be going to our house. So getting to be closer and closer to Iowa time. So keep you posted.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
We played this one not very long ago, but I like it. I think it's cute. And I think it really teaches us something, too, about life and how we take so many things for granted. And sometimes there's an explanation that we really don't know about. So here's this one. We will play a different military unit song each time, as in Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and I'm not sure. Does Coast Guard have a song? Surely they do. That's something I will personally have to check out. And again, thank all of you for listening. You are so greatly appreciated. May you have a wonderful day, and I'll be here looking for you next week. Thanks again. Here's a sampling of a few things coming next week regarding military animals. As unlikely as it may seem, did you know that glowworms played their role in warfare? In World War I, soldiers hiding in dark trenches collected the insect in jars to create glowworm lanterns. Allegedly, it only took a few specimens of this insect species to emit enough light to steady battle maps and read letters. So, during World War I, can you imagine sitting in a trench and reading a letter by a glowworm lamp? Wow. And there are many other unusual animals that will grace our path as we look at next week's and listen to next week's broadcast. Oh, what would you think?
There's an old adage in the US military that eating carrots can improve one's eyesight. But the truth behind this 75-year-old axiom is actually quite clever. Its origin starts here, inside the United Kingdom, during the Battle of Britain. The Royal Air Force Fighter Command was successfully using an invention called radio detection and ranging, commonly known as radar. Radar enabled the RAF to know the altitude and direction of incoming German bombers, which gave the pilots a great advantage in defending the skies above England. Eventually, the Luftwaffe changed tactics and began flying its bombing missions at night. The RAF, in turn, placed radar in its aircraft to best hone in on enemy attackers in the darkened night skies. These airborne interceptors, as they were known to be called, soon began to have modest success. When a reporter asked RAF pilot and squadron leader John Cunningham what made the Royal Air Force pilots so successful, he couldn't disclose the truth that radar was helping the British hold off the German attackers. Thinking quickly, he commented that eating raw carrots at every meal helped improve the eyesight of the pilots. The off-the-cuff quip stuck in the vernacular of the public's imagination, a bit of misinformation that's still believed today.
The Joint Warrior Competition at Camp Lemonnier brings all branches of the U.S. military together to test their mettle against an exhausting lineup of mental and physical challenges. These warriors push themselves to the limit and hold nothing back, all for love of country, camaraderie, and of course bragging rights.
Let's do it! Looking good, looking good!
Everyone has their own reasons to push themselves this hard. And for Catherine Dunn, the road to competition has been a journey of self-improvement.
4 years ago, I set out on a journey to lose 90 pounds, and now I'm a competitive figure bodybuilder. I was told that I'll never compete, and I was like, oh yeah? Well, let me show you. So,
as people often do, Catherine found herself at a place in life where she wanted to make some changes.
In 2011, I deployed to Kuwait, and I didn't like where I was in life. I just got to that point where I had that aha moment, and I looked in the mirror and I said, you have to fix this. And I kind of played around in the gym a little bit, and I really got into lifting. This journey started later on in life. It started when I was 35 to lose the weight and to get fit. And I always tell women, especially women, that you can do it, because people think, oh, I'm past 30, or I have kids, or I'm divorced, or stressed, and this and that. It's a lifestyle.
Perhaps the secret to Catherine's success is that her fiercest competitor is herself.
It's not so much the competitive drive that I want to beat other people. It's just every day I want to better myself and become better than I was yesterday.
Reporting from East Africa, I'm Tech Sergeant Benjamin T. Hayes.
That just makes me feel patriotic. Wow. course, there must be a drum roll. I saved the last little part of this program to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that would happen to be Eagle Angels. I love our Eagles. They're wonderful. They do so much for so many, and they put so many smiles on our veterans' faces, and they adopt soldiers, they write letters, they send cards, anything that a soldier or veteran needs. If it's in their power, they try to do it. We don't have money, so we can't offer that. We can't buy rich gifts, but we can give as much as we can from our heart through so many ways. Our baking team, for example, makes a dozen cookies for a veteran when they have a birthday. And our veterans, all of our veterans love that. If you're a veteran and would like a dozen cookies, you can let us know. If you'd like to join Eagle Angels, we'd sure love to have you. We need more and more people to join us so that we can do even more for our military. Our military deserves it. They've given so very much. You know, when I was taking care of our veterans, sometimes when I'd say thanks for your service and I'd talk with them just even a little bit, I'd see a tear on their eye. And you know, that made me sad. But I was also glad that I was able to say thank you and to help them remember a few memories and give them an opportunity to voice those. Sometimes our veterans feel forgotten, and of all our American citizens, the ones that should never, ever feel forgotten are our American veterans. They are the heartbeat of America, and they are just about everything that America could ever have hoped for. They are truly our nation's greatest asset. A veteran, you see, is someone who gives their life as a blank check to our country, not asking anything, only saying, "What would you have me do? And I will do my best, whatever it be. If I need lay my life down, I will. If only you ask a little, I will do that to my utmost." As it has been said so many times, all gave some gave all. We are so grateful to have some veterans still with us, and we work so hard to take care of our veterans at Eagle Angels. Well, you know how to contact me, and that's what's coming on next. It'll tell you all about how to contact me. So I'm not going to tell you that right here. But if you would like to be part of Eagle Angels, or there's something special you'd like to do for a veteran, but you need some ideas, come check out Eagle Angels. We'd be glad to hear you. We really value our Eagle Angels. We do special things for them all the time as well. We have wonderful teams that work so well together. I love the people on each team. I watch each team and I see them work together, and I'm just so impressed with all the things that they do for love of our veterans and soldiers. Well, whatever you're doing today, I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you can even take a few minutes for our veterans, send me a note. Let me know that you'd like to check out Eagle Angels, and I'll be glad to get back with you. Thank you so much.